In recent months, the Labour government has made promises on reform of Parliament, on regulating the banking sector, and on tackling climate change. But as we've come to expect from the old parties, words don't mean action. Take the NHS, which we Greens are proud to defend. This government's creeping privatisation of our health service is resulting in wider inequalities in access to healthcare. Gordon Brown's mismanagement of the NHS is costing us dear. Under Labour's Private Finance Initiative, or PFI, our new schools and hospitals have cost much more than they should have done, and taxpayers' money is lining the pockets of private companies instead of improving our public services. I was appalled when I learnt from a recent study by Chris Edwards, an economist at the University of East Anglia, that PFI is so bad that it would be cheaper for the government to buy back PFI hospitals than to continue to pay through the nose leasing them. The report showed that my local hospital, the Norfolk and Norwich, is costing £19 million more every year under PFI than if it had been funded conventionally. I wonder how many Norfolk residents realise that to buy back our hospital would save £217 million over the next 30 years. How many local primary schools would that renovate? How many nurses would it train? How many students could we fund? Funding new hospitals and schools through PFI is like buying your house on a credit card rather than getting a mortgage. Labour's record of buying our public services on tick has left us beholden to the private sector for decades to come. And that's why the Green Party is calling for an end to the costly PFIs and calling on the government to buy back our rip-off PFI hospitals. Through creeping privatisation, Labour is breaking up our public services and betraying the founding principles of the NHS. But we shouldn't expect any better from the Conservatives. Did you hear that Tory MEP's insulting remarks about the NHS on US TV? We know that these are privately supported by an alarming number of Conservatives who would dismantle the NHS completely given the chance. Greens will keep the NHS public, with public money supporting valued public servants to provide public service of the highest calibre. And as Greens, we see beyond just treating the symptoms. We want to see more emphasis on preventing illness and on promoting a healthier society. Take the swine flu pandemic. Action to contain and promptly treat sufferers is crucial. But what thought has the government given to the cause of the pandemic and to the risks of the next? Evidence points to this one starting in intensive pig factories in Mexico, where thousands of animals are crammed together in unnatural conditions. We know that intensive factory farming incubates viruses, enabling dangerous mutations to thrive. The Green Party has long called for a move away from intensive farming in the UK and elsewhere, not just because of the cruelty to animals, but because of the costs to human health and the environment. But this government ignores long-term risk, favouring short-term profit. And it's not just on health where this government takes this approach. Over the summer, ahead of crucial global climate talks in Copenhagen this December, we've heard Labour promise to lead on reducing UK carbon emissions. But this government is failing to implement the policies that will bring about those reductions, failing to show the leadership that the world so desperately needs. The government has promised thousands of new jobs in green industries, and yet last month it failed to prevent the closure of the UK's wind turbine factory. And the reason given for this closure? A lack of demand for wind turbines in the UK. With all the potential for creating clean energy from the sun, sea and wind in the British Isles, why are we lagging so far behind other European countries in renewable energy production? Because the government is failing to invest properly in these technologies to ensure that the UK keeps up with the rest of Europe. Instead of investing what's needed in renewables, this government still plans new expensive nuclear power stations, leaving a legacy of radioactive waste for generations to come.